We're just about to go live on CHMR with the Mulberry Creek Hour, and Josh is totally calm. Everything is perfect. Okay, perfect. Everything's rolling. Okay. Welcome to the Mulberry Creek Hour. It's Tuesday at 5 o'clock on CHMR. I'm Vicki Morgan. I'm joined by my wonderful partner in everything, Josh Morgan. Josh, say hey.
Howdy.
There you go.
I'm mixing it up this week.
We have such an awesome show today. I'm so excited. This started off as a little idea last week, and I was like, no, that's too crazy. But here we are. You just got to say stuff out loud, and then it can happen. I'm joined today by my two good buddies, Jake Thompson and Lou. Jake, you want to say hey?
Hi, everyone.
Lou, do you want to say hey?
Yes, of course. How are you all doing?
Love it! I love it so much. So we're also joined today by Paula, who, of course, people who, anyway, we'll explain who Paula is in just a few minutes.
I think this is a good time to just point out that this is there's a visual component to today's radio show. So if you are listening on CHMR on the radio, feel free to tune into our Facebook Live that we're streaming right now live at the Mulberry Creek Hour on Facebook. There is a live video that you can watch along and see the puppets and everything that's all the silliness that's happening in the studio today.
So we have four guests here today. There's three puppets and one person. And Josh's puppet doesn't have a name, so we're going to ask the listeners.
We'll try to figure that out before the end of the show.
And maybe it's easier to name the puppet if you've never seen the puppet, but I can tell you it looks exactly like Josh. So I don't know if that helps in radio land because you can't see Josh either. But I thought it would be a great idea to do. I thought it'd be fun for me. I don't know if it translates to anybody out there listening, but I thought it'd be fun to have the master of puppets in Newfoundland.
The master of puppets.
He is, to come into the studio and show us, because Paula and unnamed Josh Puppet, we really don't know how to work them. And so I would love to learn. Jake is literally the master of puppets here in Newfoundland, and he's had his own show for years. He's got a show there on Bell 5 TV right now, and he's still in production. He's been doing, Jake, how many seasons have you done of NL now?
We're on our 4th with NTV, but our 10th overall.
10 seasons. Holy moly.
So I just want to point out, Jake's in his senior year of high school. Has his permit, and he's in 10 years of a TV production. So
I was really good at Mario 3 in my senior year in high school, but that's about it.
I was very good at Larch Park Studies, which is just near Gonzaga, and I spent most of my time on Larch Park, and there's a few friends that can attest to that. I knew the ins and outs of Larch Park like back in my hand.
Okay, yeah.
Before we get started on the show today, I do want to do a little tribute, because we lost a fantastic, absolutely legendary Canadian just last night, Gordon Lightfoot. We lost last night. I'm very, very, very sad about that. The legacy that he left behind was absolutely stunning, and it's a great loss for all Canadians. And so we wanted to do. This is a live version of a song that, we cover this. I think we do a pretty nice job of it.
I think it's fantastic.
We actually had the kids join us in a couple of shows over the holidays. It's not a holiday song. It just has sleigh bells in it. And we happen to be a band with sleigh bells.
We happen to be some people that own sleigh bells.
Never trust a man who plays the bells. But we did have the kids join us on stage a few times with the sleigh bells for this song. So this is a live version from, oh my God, I don't know, when cameras were invented probably. So this is off the YouTube track, but this is a live version of Song for Winter's Night. And rest in peace, Gordon Lightfoot. I was way too upbeat about him resting in peace, wasn't I? Okay.
So we're going to have to keep an eye on that because we haven't heard that before.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't stop and start swearing in the middle of it. So we're turning it down so you can't hear this on the Facebook Live, because SoCan fees are not paid by Facebook Live, and so we will just riff in the middle of that. We got a bunch of stuff to get to. So Jake, have you ever met Paula?
I have not met Paula yet.
This is Paula. So I put a little bit of fluff in the bottom of Paula's chin because it's a little floppy there, and people think she's a boy.
Oh.
A lot of people think she's a boy. So she's not. She's Paula. Her last name is Paula 80. Her last name is 80. Paula 80. And she came up from New Jersey. There's a lovely lady. I can't recall her name right now, but we had Paula made by a puppeteer puppet maker in New Jersey, and she came to us like she almost came and gave birth, because she showed up in this beautiful silk green bag, and she came out. She was all curled up like an infant would be in the womb, and she just has a personality, and I feel like she brings out, which obviously you're aware of.
Yes.
And so anyway, so this is Paula, and Paula was a what do you call it, like a replica. It was a Muppet. This lady made a Muppet of me, which just, I don't know why. I don't know why I did that. I have no idea. But Josh has one as well, so we're going to get Josh and his Muppet to join us in a little while. And we're not going to get into anything too serious because we're coming back to the actual, and this is a radio show after all. So we're just going to hang out for a little while. Nice glasses.
Okay.
How fun is this? Oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm here and it's happening and I'm still, like, I can't wait for it.
You can go to the mouse over there and see what the time looks like.
Yeah. Sure. So there's a minute left to that.
And then I'll do the recorded PSAs after that.
Yes, let's bang that all right away. Okay.
This is a great cover. There's no sleigh bells though. It's just the guitars and bass.
Oh, that's okay.
Shame.
I can hear them in my mind.
We'll add them in post.
I'm too excited. So just make sure you keep me, like, check in every now and then. Just make sure we're all good. This is so intense. Can you guys see what? You can't see what's happening. Hold on. Look, I'm watching the video. And when I opened up Paula today, these little.
Okay, we're coming back.
Are we almost done? Okay. All right.
I'm fading out.
Okay.
Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
Radio show with puppets. Who knew?
Puppets on the radio. You've done radio interviews before though, right? I mean, this isn't completely abnormal to have puppets on the radio.
Yeah.
We gotta make sure we get pictures before.
Yes.
20 seconds.
Okay. I think we should do the Navigator song after you do your announcements, and then we'll have
I'm not
all.
doing any announcements. This is coming back in 10 seconds.
Okay.
Navigator now?
And then we'll have it all out of the way. And then the last one will be all. That was Gordon Lightfoot and Song for Winter's Night, and yeah, rest easy, buddy. I'm sure there's a fantastic collection of Canadian Gordons wherever they go after this. We're real sad about that. That one hit hard last night. It came up, and the announcement on the article on CBC said Gordon Lightfoot died May 1st. And I was like, wait, that's tonight. They said he died that night.
Tonight.
They said he died Monday night, and I was like, wait, isn't it
It's
Monday?
currently Monday night.
So, and of course, with celebrities of that caliber, they have obituaries ready to roll out all the time, which is really sad. After a certain age, they have those obituaries ready to roll. But it was really, really prompt and fresh and all that stuff. So anyway, I know there's a lot of people who really, really loved Gordon Lightfoot, and so our condolences to everybody that loved him. We're going to move on to, there's a real big show coming up on this weekend. There's two shows, actually, that you might want to check out, and you can actually go to both of them. There's one show called Two Idiots Doing Comedy, going on at the Black Sheep, and that's hosted by, I don't know the other host, so I'm not even going to say who. I know Sarah Walsh is one of the hosts, but that's going on at the Black Sheep at 8 o'clock till 9:30, and then you could even walk. You don't even need to drive. You can walk over to the Bella Vista.
Could you walk from the Bella Vista, from Black Sheep to the Bella Vista?
Oh, man.
That's a haul.
Not really. It's not that far. Bella Vista's like right there.
Take one of those scooters.
You get one of the electric bikes.
There's a place that's going to be renting electric bikes downtown.
How much are the electric bikes?
They're not cheap.
Okay.
But you can rent them.
Well, we wanted to
if
try
you got
it, but
some
I
money
think
in
it was
your pocket.
somewhere in the area of like $80.
It was like $80 for one bike for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Which is okay until you have a
Family of
spouse
four that
and
wants to try
a
them.
couple of kids and
Yeah. So maybe they'll do a family pass, or maybe when
Yeah.
tourist season comes. Now, of course, then
Or
it's
some
snow on
little-
the road.
some little e-trailers to drag along.
I don't mean to get down on the e-bikes, but anyway, you could take an e-bike. You could also get a cab, or you could try walking, or whatever.
It's practically summer now.
It is basically summer. There's only a little mountain of dirty snow.
Christmas is right around the corner.
The mountains left in the parking lots are so disgusting.
Yeah.
Our road is completely clear and you can park now, and there's all this, lots of great room. But when you go by the Upland Mall parking lot, it's still gross. What was I talking about? Oh, right, the Bella Vista. So the Bella Vista, it is the second to last show in the Navigator's Bay Bulls Cove tour. Is it Bay Bulls Cove or Bay Bulls Harbor? Bay Bulls
Cove
BBC.
tour.
It's the BBC tour. So they have a show coming up at Bella Vista. Jordan Harm opens for them, and it is a really fantastic show. We did catch one of the shows up in Bay Bulls. But I'm telling you, you can go to the comedy show The Black Sheep, and we love The Black Sheep, and then you can hoof it over to the Bella Vista, and you can watch both shows. I'm just saying, that's what I probably
That's
do.
a night. You make a night of it.
Make a night of it. And it's going to be like really great entertainment, really, really great people, and we love to see that kind of stuff. So this is a song from the brand new album from the Navigators. This is actually a cover of a Van Morrison song, but Fred, I don't know. I know he wouldn't want me to say it's better, but it might be.
I don't know.
It's just as.
It's pretty good.
It's just as good, if not better, than the original. So this is Moondance off the brand new Navigators album, and you can check them out. And you can go buy an album, you can buy a shirt, you can buy a hat,
Buy everything.
shows, and it's the second to last. The very last one's going on out at Dildo Brewing. I'm not sure the date of that one, but I know the Bella Vista is on the 5th. So make sure you check them out. And hey to the boys, and I hope the travels are still going great. And congratulations on a fantastic album. This is Moondance off the brand new album from the Navigators.
Okay, so we got. I don't know
So then
why
we
it
tag
didn't play.
everybody.
It just didn't play, and then it froze. I had to reboot the thing.
It's all right.
That was annoying.
It's all
Okay.
good. Everything's smooth.
Everything's perfect.
Everything's perfect. So yeah, so then we go back and do the replay, and then we tag everybody that we mentioned here. So if anybody wanted to sponsor a Lou spot as some sort of spokes puppet, I'm just saying, these things can happen. You just need to think them up, and then they can happen.
All right.
What do you want to talk about
We're
now?
getting through it.
How long have we got? So when we come back, we'll talk about all the puppet stuff,
Yeah.
how you got started. I don't want to surprise you with anything, but I'm probably going to ask you about Jim Henson. But I got a lot of questions,
Yes. Anything
and then I'll just let you run with it.
Well, there's you know Adam Kreuter, the guy that does
Yeah.
all the YouTube videos. Did you hear like he had brain cancer?
I know.
We haven't heard anything about. I guess he's still doing videos. So I guess he's.
He's
Back
back
to
to 100%,
Yeah.
and like wrote a book.
The
That,
kids the other day were like, "What happened to that puppet guy?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like the
Yeah.
guy that had cancer?" Oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
like
brain's fine.
yeah, he's doing great. He's doing really, really. According to all the social media, he seems to be doing
Yeah.
back on his feet. And wrote a fantastic book called Puppetry 101. You can get it on Amazon, and it was like, I don't know how he found time, but it's all like he just reset. It was like a big speed bump, and then back to healthy. He's got small kids. He had
Yeah,
a
I know.
baby like around the same time he got diagnosed, which is terrifying.
Yes.
But yeah, he's back, full head of hair. Everything is. He's back doing awesome stuff, and he's like an elementary school teacher.
Yeah, an art teacher. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Can you imagine having our teacher that does all this stuff?
I can't imagine having a teacher that's on YouTube.
I know.
Like that's really cool.
A really big following too.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
massive. And so Kruger Puppets, we you use some of those patterns too,
Yes,
right?
I have to.
We've made some, and I went bonkers. I had all the frames made for a bunch of puppets, and then just couldn't make their faces. It was just anyway. So there's all these like every now and then
We
we
got
have
some
a new
failed
puppet.
puppet projects in the
A
basement.
lot. Well, we
Right,
did
me
make
too.
one. We did make one that ended up on AMI.
Mm-hmm.
We made a replica of Josh Minchin's, which we absolutely loved, and so that's actually debuting today, the 2nd of May.
No way.
That showed up on AMI today, and so we had 2 puppets on that one. One of them was from Kara Nordstrom at North Stream Creations,
And the other
Yeah.
one was this.
Saskatchewan.
Was this one?
That one, yep. Who we haven't named yet, so we're going to name that puppet before the end of the show, hopefully today.
Mm-hmm.
And lost my train of thought there. Where'd it go?
Just making projects.
Yeah, we were making projects, and one of them ended up on the show, but a lot of them. So we have a new puppy. She's 8 months old, so every now and then she'll walk through the living room with like an arm
Yeah.
or an eyeball.
Something she found in the basement.
Yeah. We do keep all the other puppets up on really high shelves, but some of the little projects ended up like, it looks kind of morbid sometimes because she'll walk through with a foot
Yeah.
or a leg or an arm or whatever.
I had a bit of an incident once with the dog at my dad's house one day. We were getting ready to film a big Christmas special, and I was at school, and he was at work, and we don't usually have the puppets upstairs, but because we were shooting the Christmas special, we need some more room because we had a whole band in, and the dog got in, and we had to switch out a few puppets then at the last minute before we started.
I know what stuff you had made.
Yeah, and
That's the worst.
other ones as well, yeah.
Oh, that's scary. How many Garys do you have?
Just the one, yeah.
Just the one.
Oh wow.
The original.
That makes me very anxious just to hear that. Oh man.
But it's one thing we can talk about is we're starting to retire Gary a little bit on the show. There's a new puppet we got a little while ago that's starting to take over the hosting role.
Oh, what's
and,
that? Talk about that.
That's what
Few
happens.
new
You usurp
characters.
the role, and all of a sudden, poor old Gary's retired,
Mhm.
which would make a great season. Oh, he retired in the
He
show.
did, yeah. So that's what we're sort of
I got you. So it would
sort of
make
leaning into that.
Uh-huh. That makes a lot of
Oh,
sense.
no,
So
no.
we'll talk about that when we come back on the radio.
Yeah.
How long have we got left?
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
He's got such a range.
He's amazing. Fred Jorgensen. We're talking about the range that Fred Jorgensen has, and he is phenomenal. These live shows are awesome entertainment. Absolutely awesome. They're only 19 plus. So, but
All of
you
them?
can, yep.
I thought it was
Yeah.
the one.
No, the one
Okay,
below.
we're back.
Yeah. So that was the Navigators with Moondance, and of course they are playing the Bella Vista on Friday. It is a 19 plus event, and Jordan Harnum, the amazing Jordan Harnum, is opening for the boys while they're on tour.
This is like, along with the Navigators, the nicest guy.
Oh my God.
Like just.
What a fantastic combination of people they got on that tour. And then, of course, they're joined by Trevor Kelly. And I think I posted, did I post the article? I didn't post a link to it last week, but many moons ago, I wrote an article for The Express. Does anybody remember The Express?
How long ago was that?
Oh, easily 25 years ago. I did an article, but way back in high school, I wrote for my high school newspaper, I wrote an article by Trevor because I had a little crush on him. He is touring with the Navigators, and they're so good together. They're really, really fantastic. So catch those guys.
It's fun place.
But when they're back to their regular schedule, you can also catch them at Chafe's Landing and Shamrock City, and I would imagine the boat tours. They do the.
They'll probably just come to your house and play if you ask them.
They might come to our house. I don't know if that's a service they provide, but hopefully they'll come to our house one of these days. And I am going to throw it out again that there is room on that stage. It's not because they don't have a 7-piece band. There is, well, even if you did have a 7-piece band.
Well, you're only little.
I don't take up much space. I mean, Alan Doyle has like 6 or 7 people in his band, and I think there's still room for me on that stage.
You and an accordion.
I don't play the accordion. Stop saying I play lots of instruments. I don't know.
Not that one.
You know what? If that manifests, you're in trouble, buddy. But anyway, there is room on the Navigator stage.
This is Fred. We need an accordion player. Vicky, I heard you play. Is that a good Fred?
Is that a Fred impression?
That's pretty bad. Sorry, Fred.
Okay, that's your new voice for your puppet. Okay, so we are joined in the studio today by one of my good buddies, Jake Thompson, who, I mean this very sincerely, is the master of puppets here in Newfoundland. He has been doing this now for 10 full seasons on NL Now, which is a great little show. He's had every celebrity you could imagine. Mulberry Creek's going to be on it very, very soon. We've got a taping coming up this weekend that and we're really excited because Jake does such a great job. And of course, he's not on the show as Jake. He's all these other characters. So Jake Thompson, thanks so much for being on the Mulberry Creek Hour, buddy.
Thanks for having me in.
So let's go way, way back to when you were, I don't know.
Sure.
How old are you now?
I'm 18 now.
He's 18 now. Tell me about the very first puppet. What got you interested in puppetry?
Yeah, so the very first puppet I got, it's a little tiny green monster type hand puppet, and it came from an IKEA. And, I had that before I was interested in puppets even. It was given to me just as a children's toy. And, but I started, for whatever reason, started watching the original few seasons of The Muppet Show from back in the 70s. And I watched it, on repeat all the time. And that led to just wanting to have more of my own puppets. And that led to wanting to do shows for family at family parties and events. And that led to where we are today.
So I say this a lot. If I knew what I wanted to do when I was a teenager, what is that like to be an actual teenager who has found, and not only do you love it, but you're really, really good at it. I've seen Jake Thompson, I've seen him do kid shows, and my kids are, they're like electronic age, they grow up with YouTube and all these, really fancy cartoons and animations and stuff like that. But when I took them to Jake Thompson's shows, they're mesmerized. And I mean, they're hard to entertain sometimes, but it brings out the child in them, and it grabs their attention, and they talk to those puppets as though they're beings.
Mm-hmm.
Jake transforms these piles of felt and fur and eyeballs, fake eyeballs, obviously. He doesn't have actual real eyeballs, but they transform, and he becomes this other entity. I think you were born to do this. I think you would agree, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is that like to know what you want to do at such a young age and be able to find an outlet for it?
Yeah, I think it's really special because, I'm in grade 12 now, my last year of high school, and you're always asked by, all the teachers around during this last year what you want to do when you finish and where you're going to go to school and what you're going to work at and all these questions, but I've always had sort of the same answer I've known in my head since I was a child, really, that I always want to do something, I say, in the puppetry and the television industry, but I think it is really special to have had that in my mind for such a long time and know what I love doing.
and to have so much work experience, because most high schoolers are coming out and they're looking, like I just saw a whole whack of job postings in different industries, and it's like, come out and get a little experience, high schooler, but like to hire Jake Thompson.
Most of that stuff is aimed at students that don't
Have no
already
experience.
know
Right.
what they're going to be doing.
Exactly. So when you when I think about reaching out to Jake Thompson for any of puppeting needs, it's like, well, he's really professional. He's been doing this a really long time, knows his stuff, like an Adam Krupinger or who else? Jim Henson. Let's talk about Jim Henson.
Of course.
How much do you love Jim Henson?
Jim Henson is he's amazing. Obviously, he changed the television puppetry industry. He's one of the guys that created really the way television is used today for puppetry.
Absolutely. So in his life, and I don't know his life story, so I'm legitimately asking, how young was he when he discovered his love for puppets?
I'm not sure the exact age, but I know he really started getting serious about it when he was in the university, which is when he started his first television program.
Yeah. Wow. So I did mention Adam Krupinger, who is a connection. Is a connection that we have because Adam Krupinger has this. What does he call it? Krupinger puppet. What is the? Oh, there's a website where you can actually get the patterns to make puppets, which of course is a whole other level of making puppets. And we've got a friend out in Saskatchewan, Karen Nordstrom, who just had a baby. Her and her husband's name. Oh boy. Oh, why can't I think of that? Kara, and it'll come back to me. But they're both really, really creative people. And the idea of making puppets. Tell me more about making puppets. How does that add to your creative realm or your creative reach, really?
Yeah, for sure. So, when I sit down, just start making a puppet, there's really two types that I make. So the first kind is I haven't really started making the larger professional style puppets and using them myself. I've experimented with it, of course, over the last few years. But normally the ones that I make are smaller hand puppets, and they're all unique in their own way. I always try to make everyone a little bit different, creating the different characters for them and thinking of what kind of characters they'll be while I'm creating them.
Tell me about the person. Okay, so there's musicians. Musicians are a little odd about their instruments, and there's there's a whole level of hockey players are very superstitious about certain elements of their game and their gear and what they do before the games and stuff like that. And then there's musicians who are like, nobody touches my instrument, or whatever needs to be put to bed with the blast. Is that just me? Special bed with a special pillow. But tell me about puppets. Is there anything about is there any sort of superstition around it, or any sort of tradition with the personality coming out and changing the personality, or is there any is there any, you can't change the name of it like a boat? Is there any sort of stuff?
Yeah, it seems like if somebody else were to pick up Lou, it'd be like, why are you doing that voice? Why is he moving like that?
Yeah,
that's not Lou.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just last month, I did a full day where I presented puppetry and all my puppets to 12 different classes at Cowan Heights Elementary. And I love to let the kids, take the puppets, even some of the bigger professional puppets like Lou here, and just let them try it out, because and it's always interesting to see how differently it looks when they're using the puppets and when they're doing their own voices, they're putting their own names on it.
Yeah.
But
something's wrong with Lou.
Yeah, exactly.
I know a class I took many years ago with Chuck Harriet. He does a masks class.
Yes.
And he does these clay masks, and it was absolutely amazing. He'd put the masks on us, and then you'd be in front of a mirror, and he would say, move like that character would move, and it just brought out this whole other side. It gives you this freedom to be somebody different and pretend, which is, believe it or not, one of the key components of good mental health. People who are able to play and tap into that playfulness and then come back out of it and live their life and pay their taxes and go to their job or, drive or whatever it is. But that element of being able to play is so important to have that release. Now, some people have a kitchen party and they drink on a Friday night, but they go back to their jobs, they go back to their regular life on Monday. But it is that there's that release involved that is so important. And of course, you already know this because you've been doing this for a long time. So what is it like to have that ability to play all the time and have this pull of you're graduating now. What are you going to do after graduation?
Yeah, I'm still really trying to figure all that out. I know it's late in the year and we're getting close to, that year that I'm going to have.
How many days?
51 days until graduation. But you know, it's interesting. I've really been thinking about it over the last couple months, trying to figure out if there's any kinds of projects that I want to work on and try now that I'm going to have a lot more time, that I'm not restricted to the set schedule of being in school 5 days a week.
Absolutely.
It's pretty nice.
So of course you were coming in to do your graduation year as a person who has already produced a TV show for Bell 5 TV, which during the pandemic there was a whole lot. I was just looking up this very recently. There was a period where Bell 5 had a whole bunch of money because sports were canceled because of all the lockdowns, and they wanted to invest in local productions. And you and I were among the 9 contracts that were awarded in Newfoundland. And so you're coming into this as someone who has already made a TV show. So is there any talk of the second season?
Yeah, so I'd really love to be able to do a second season of The Adventures of Gary and Lou. It was a really fun show to work on, and it was really my first experience working with a large crew of people and working with other collaborators. And I wrote the show myself, and Pete Soucy wrote it together, and that was an amazing experience getting to write with someone else,
awesome.
Especially with Pete Soucy.
He's so funny.
I mean, he's really funny. And well, on that show, Pete actually played Lou. He did the puppetry and the voice for Lou, and I played the other lead role, which was Gary. But I'd really love to be able to do a second season. We have a lot of great ideas that we'd love to be able to get out there, and to be able to, now that we have all the characters and the world developed, sort of, there's a lot more fun we could have with the second season.
So tell me what happened in the first season.
So in the first season, it's 8 episodes, and it starts, you meet Gary Weaselton, and in the first episode, he's 59 years old, and he's on his first day of an early retirement from being a lifelong TV journalist. And we see Gary in the kitchen during his first morning of retirement, cooking up breakfast for himself, and his wife Beverly heads out. She's still working. But then we see Lou burst in, and now Lou is Gary's next door neighbor on the show. And Lou doesn't have any defined age. He's kind of like, you know, Elmo and some of the other Sesame Street characters that are in that one period sort of forever. And Lou bursts in, and Lou wants to make a deal sort of with Gary to spend his first week of retirement doing a different adventure every day for that first week that leads up to Gary's 60th birthday. And so Gary, he reluctantly agrees to do all these adventures with Lou. And so then each episode follows them on a different adventure. There's all kinds of different stuff. There's a fishing episode, there's a music in the park episode, all kinds of great stuff. And it all leads up to the season finale, which is Gary's surprise 60th birthday party.
Nice.
You had, of course, a lot of celebrities, local, a lot of really big names in the show. So Newfoundland now, of course, has had pretty much, there's still room, but you've had everybody. You've had everybody on Newfoundland now. Have you had any, on NL now, sorry. Has anybody, like, how eager are people to be on the show?
Yeah, so I mean, some people, like you said, we've had so many people on, so we've started, you know, going back and bringing some people back who've already been on, because we're finding it hard sometimes now to fill the slots with new people, as there's only so many new musicians around and actors and actresses. And but I know some people, when I reach out, they've always wanted to be on the show. They said, "Oh, I've seen your show so many, and I've always wanted to come on." But we're very open about having people on. We love when people reach out and say that they want to come on, because, I mean, almost every time we say yes, because it's great to have new people on all the time.
What's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, you can head to our Facebook page. NL Now Productions is probably the easiest place to find us.
So
I had a question about the Bell show.
Yes, sure.
Now it's on Bell 5 TV1, which is there on demand.
Yeah.
Is it available anywhere else also? Or is it going to be available to people that don't have Bell?
Yes, so right now it's just exclusive to Bell on Channel 1, but we're working on trying to make it available in some other places soon, hopefully.
Great, fantastic.
Bell's really good about not having exclusive rights forever. They do keep it for a little while, but then you are able to put it on other broadcasters, which is great. So it opens up a second broadcast window, which is really great, because that tells the world about what's able to be done here in Newfoundland, which you know, people aren't even aware. We just watched the Disney Wendy and Peter.
Peter Pan and Wendy.
Peter Pan, whichever. You know what I mean. Well, they weren't puppets, so it didn't really hold my attention, but it was lovely. But I mean, that was made here. A lot of that was made here in Newfoundland, and so it really is putting Newfoundland on that global stage of things that can be done here, that can be done even in the winter months. Which you know, tell me about. I do remember this story that I've heard about when you first started in the puppet world, you were much smaller.
Yes.
And there was some issues with the disc. You had to get a bigger disc when you got bigger.
Yes. So on NL now, you'll see usually for all of our interview segments that the host puppet, which has been Gary in the past, and we're starting to see some other puppets take over. We started out with a little desk because a way to hide me, of course, and getting onto the desk. But of course, we started the show when I was in grade 5, so of course I was still growing. And a few seasons in, we got to the point where I couldn't comfortably fit under the desk anymore. So we tried a few different things, but we ended up with one of our first seasons with NTV. We had to get sort of a desk, we can call it custom made, from a guy on a Facebook marketplace who was advertising them as backyard tiki bars.
Nice.
And so it was, we changed a few things up to get it custom made so it could work as a puppet desk.
Harder than it sounds.
And in the summer months, you can use it as a tiki bar in your backyard.
Sure, when he's 19, which he still is not. We made a little news desk for our puppets, and it's big enough for me to fit under, but not for my children who are now bigger than me. So
That didn't last long.
So, but just before the show, we were trying to do a couple of promo shots of Paula and the unnamed Josh Morgan mini Muppet. And I got to tell you, it was really hard. So we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to have Jake show us how to properly operate Paula and the other puppet. And because it's like those accordion players that have these like massive upper bodies, it's really hard to be under a desk and remember where to point the faces and how to engage. So I'm going to get a little tutorial from you when we come back from the break. Jake Thompson, we're going to be right back on the Mulberry Creek Hour. What are you playing now? Are you doing okay?
Yes, I'm good.
What are you playing?
Cheers. You think this song is about you?
That's appropriate.
So 3 minutes on that.
3 minutes,
We're going to
okay.
come back and do PSAs and I'll read something.
Okay.
Then have a sip of my tea.
Yes.
Yeah, feel free to stretch your legs and whatnot.
All right.
How are we doing on the video still going over
So
here?
we're going to do a tutorial on puppetry. And I'm going to get even, how does that look over there? Good.
We're professionals.
Are we? We're doing a visual radio show. So there's that.
It always reminds me of, did you ever see the movie Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams?
I haven't.
He was a radio DJ and he
Yeah.
got to Vietnam and to do the radio for the army, and the guy that worked in was a real stick in the mud. He was like, "What's your favorite comedy?" So the manager was like, "I don't know, I like." He was naming all these vaudeville actors and comedy stuff. He was like, "You can do slapstick on the radio. This is you gotta." So here we are doing
I think a
slapstick on the
public
radio.
show. So we have, when we do a show here, there's access, like the studio is open 24 hours and we've got a key card to get in.
Okay.
So we actually could probably come in and shoot a show in here. Because this setup is, we've got all the mics and all the arms and all that stuff at home, but this.
What if a puppet couldn't get work anywhere else because it was a puppet, but on the radio you can see that it's a puppet? So
Yeah.
that's the only job that they can get is a radio DJ.
I really do like that. Maybe something. So Paula helps me, like I use Paula as an excuse to say whatever I want. That's been my go-to. Is like, well, it's Paula. I mean, who's going to get mad at a puppet, right? She's my inner.
It's not me.
I say she's my inner voice. Stuff that I'd like to say, but here's one of her children.
What's up?
Hello.
Hi.
What's up with you guys?
We're just doing a puppet tutorial now in a couple of minutes. You guys want to come in? Josh, they can come in if they want.
We're not gonna have a way to get them back out. They're okay for now.
We can take another break.
You guys need anything? Go entertain yourselves. 30 minutes. We're almost done. Thanks, buddy. All right. 1 minute, and I'll come back to
You
PSAs.
want to pull on your puppet there?
Well, not yet, because I gotta do PSA stuff.
Can you do it as the puppet? Come on.
No.
Just by a vote. Look, there's 5 people listening. Who wants to see Josh do the PSAs as his puppet? Come on, you can do it. Puppet, puppet, puppet.
He
Woohoo!
doesn't even have a voice.
Make one up. Talk him through. Jake, here we go. You can do this.
Yes.
Bring your puppet over.
Okay.
This is
You
the
got 30 seconds.
This is the tutorial starting. Jake, what would be your advice for him to find
I
a
can't
voice?
use my hand to do the
To do what?
the stuff I gotta do to turn stuff on.
Oh, you'll be fine. You'll figure it out. All right. Are you
There
serious?
you go.
What do you think?
I love it.
All right, 15 seconds. I'm just gonna
This
turn
is
my
so
mic on.
cute.
Oh wait, no, I gotta do this.
Should we get Jake to
Okay,
come
hang
on
on,
that side?
hang on.
You good? What is this?
It's just a PSA. 50 seconds, 45 seconds.
For what is the? Oh, it's for one of the other shows. If we move,
Well, this is a jacket you
if
really
we move
recorded.
this stuff right here, I wonder could Jake sit over there with Lou? Let's do that. I'll move stuff
I'm gonna
up.
do this PSA.
That's all right. You keep going. I do this to him every.
Okay.
He doesn't find it funny. Jake, do you want to move over here, please? Sure. Can you pull a chair over?
All
I
right,
think we
15
should-
seconds. I'm coming in to do a PSA. I'm just gonna be reading first. It's just me.
Okay.
Am I gonna come up with a voice on the spot?
No, we'll bring it back and Jake will coach you through it.
No, I gotta do a PSA.
Do we need
I
that
know.
mic over here? Yeah.
Josh, it's okay if it's not.
New Brunswick's four-piece stoner metal band, Diner Drugs, make their St. John's debut at the Deck on May 12th and May 13th, and will play an all-ages show at the Abbey on May 13th. Check them out on all socials at Diner Drugs. Okay, 20
Okay.
seconds.
What?
20 seconds, we got the PSA and then we'll come back in.
Is this going to work from over there? Will that
What?
work like that? Will you be able to hear him from there? Jake, behind
Here,
you.
Jake? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. What are we even doing? I don't know what we're doing.
I'm going to get him to teach us how to do the puppets.
Okay. You good over there?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, we got the mic, okay.
Will this
Okay.
one go over easier? Welcome back to the Mulberry Creek Hour. I'm Vicki Morgan, and this is Paula. We're doing a puppet tutorial here in the studio at CHMR today, has that ever been done? I don't think so. So welcome back to the show. You can check us out on...
We're trying to fit 3 people and 3 puppets into the Facebook Live.
It's a lot of
video.
personalities. Look, we're all in there. Ah, isn't that great? Make sure there's room for Lou. So you can check us out on Facebook Live. We're actually, and you can see the replay afterwards. We're just having fun in the studio here today because Jake Thompson is, of course, a television producer and high school student. He also does parties where he'll come and entertain, and he also does workshops, puppet making workshops where he'll come and, like we've done it before, where he brings all the materials. You just supply the creativity and the imagination and a willingness to have a little bit of fun. It's an awesome time. So make sure you go to the NL Now Productions page, or you can get in touch with Jake Thompson and just make sure, like, he's just awesome. And he is, I keep calling him the master of puppets, which Josh reminded me is a Metallica song. Not the same.
I tried to find like an acoustic cover of the song just to play on the show, but we'll maybe next week.
Okay, so let's see how we're going to do this now. So Jake is going to give us a little tutorial on how to move the puppets and find their little personalities. And here's my big question. I have 2 major questions.
Sure.
How do you keep your arms up in the air for that long without them? Like, what do you do when your arm starts to get tired and you're like, okay, the show still has to go on. I got 20 more minutes of this. What do you do?
Yeah, so there's a couple different things you can do depending on the type of show. A couple of tricks that I use. So when I'm doing something for TV or online and I'm filming it myself with a camera without an audience there, there's always different things. So sometimes, if I'm using Lou here, for example, he does have the live hands, which normally you'd have one hand in his hand and the other hand to control his head and his mouth. But I mean, sometimes I can cheat it a little and hold my arm up a little bit just for a few seconds. I find even always helps a little bit just to relieve the pressure of your arm for just a minute. But when I'm doing a live show and there's an audience in front of me, so I can't, just take the puppet down in the middle of a song and take a break or something, what I like to do is sometimes if you're after quite a bit of practice, you can switch out the arms that you're using, which I do quite a bit, which is, it isn't something that puppeteers normally do because usually they have their set hand that they like to use, which I do as well. I prefer using my left hand,
Yeah.
but sometimes when I'm doing a live show, I like to practice it a bit so I can switch out the arm. And of course, there's other tricks like just switching out the puppets. So you could have a song where one puppet would sing half the song and have the other puppet come in and do something. But there's all sorts of different tricks like that.
Are you left-handed?
I'm right-handed, actually.
So it's the non-dominant hand.
So for me, it is that way. Yeah. Now, other puppeteers, they find that their dominant hand works best, but for whatever reason, I always took to using my left hand.
Is it easier for you to talk to Lou if it's your non-dominant hand?
It is, yeah. It's easier for a few things.
This is so awesome. You guys seriously have to go to the Facebook page. You have to see what's happening here in the studio.
Yes, the
It's
Mulberry
so
Creek
awesome.
Hour on Facebook. You can see our currently live broadcast.
So I think we should switch things around a little tiny bit because Jake's mic is not really close to him. So you tell us a funny story while I move Jake back around to the other side of the table there.
You are relying on me to tell a funny story.
Yes.
I was not prepared for this.
Okay.
I'm going to. This is a little awkward because I have a puppet. We all have puppets on our hands, and we usually use our hands to, produce the radio show.
Is that good for me right here?
That's perfect.
Okay, perfect.
I'm
Okay.
sorry I didn't have a funny story ready. Two peanuts were walking down the street, and one of them was assaulted.
Okay. So where were we? All right. So the other question I have is, how often? So when a puppet is talking,
Yes.
is there like any sort of rule to go by, like how often they open their mouth per syllable?
Yeah, so normally the rule that I follow is that I try, and I just have Lou here while I'm doing this,
Yeah.
but normally the rule I follow is that their mouth is moving at the exact same time as mine is. And now that does get a little bit tricky sometimes, like if they're talking really fast or they're doing a song with a lot of words and a lot of moving around in. But so sometimes then, and especially with bigger words, like with more than like 3 or 4 syllables, that's when I find it's okay to skip a movement or something, and you don't always notice it, but sometimes you will. So I like to always try the best I can to move the mouth at the exact same time that my mouth is moving.
I swear to God, I'm looking at Lou.
You're
Like
listening
he's
to Lou.
really
Yeah.
talking. Like
Yeah.
inner child. My inner child is going. That blue monster's talking. Like I can see Jake's mouth moving. I still feel like it's Lou.
Mhm.
The life that goes into these puppets when you pick them up absolutely blows my. And I know I sound like an absolute child right now,
No,
but like,
that's it.
they come to life. It's so fun and so amazing. Like they just because when they're laying there, it's like, oh man, they look weird.
Yeah.
When there's no life in them, it's like, okay. Have you ever had any like? Have you ever dreamt about the puppets actually talking to you? Like,
I
don't you-
haven't.
I just find like at some point, don't you just wish that other people would come in and operate all the puppets so you could have a conversation with them and see what would come out? Like, just I don't know.
Mhm.
That might just be me. We do have a wall of puppets, which does look a little bit like a serial killer's house. So it is a little unnerving sometimes. So
Mhm.
aside from the syllables, there's also I saw this on some tutorials from Adam Kurtinger
Mhm.
where he does teach a lot of stuff about puppets for film
Mhm.
and keeping their eye line at the
Yes.
camera, because it's not like you forget that they have eyes, and that makes them even more real, right? So
Yeah.
tell me about, how would you explain that to somebody?
Yeah, so eye focus is very important because even if it's off just a little bit, and you're supposed to have the puppet, talking into the camera to the audience, and even if it's off just slightly and looking off camera, you can really notice it, and it really takes away from the lifelikeness that's supposed to be there, the puppet. So that's why it's really important that I always have the monitor in front of me so that I can see everything that the camera sees.
So what I picture is there's a monitor under the table.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's real? You
Yes.
have a monitor down with you.
Yeah, well, when we're doing NL now, and I'd be under the desk, I'd have a small TV screen, sort of like size of computer monitor here, and I'd be able to see exactly what the camera sees. And when we were doing a bigger production, like the Adventures of Gary and Lou, there'd be multiple monitors for the multiple camera angles that we'd have.
Wow.
And the angles are backwards, right? When you're
Yes.
looking at it, so if
Yes.
it's off to the left, you need to go the opposite. How long did it take you to get that?
It
In
took
your-
a pretty long time, a lot of rehearsing in the mirror and trying to figure it out.
Oh, the mirror. Does the mirror help?
The mirror works
'Cause it's
for
backwards
practicing
also.
because it's also reversed. Yeah.
So it'd be pretty impossible to do it without a monitor, right?
Oh.
Like you wouldn't be able to see the camera at all and
Yeah, like when
know where you're facing.
like the first day when we were shooting the Adventures of Gary and Lou, and I guess like a lot of the crew hadn't worked with puppets before, and they didn't really know exactly how it all worked. So, but I knew, of course, that I needed my monitor. And the first thing we went to shoot the first scene, and I couldn't see my monitor; it wasn't in the right position. So that was the first thing I had to adjust right away, because the first take we did, it looked terrible almost to me from my point of view with the puppets, because when I don't have a monitor, I really can't work very well.
So it's like a learning experience for everybody.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Well, he's been doing it for a really long time. Too.
Yeah.
So we just watched. Okay, I'm going to try to do my Paula voice. Okay, can you give me some advice on how to not get in my head and feel really silly? Like, I don't mean silly. I mean, I start to feel really stupid.
Feel okay with it.
Yeah. How do you get comfortable with doing a voice and not talking yourself out of it and going, "Oh, this is childish"? Because you have to commit to it. When you come out of character, it ruins it, right? Like it really destroys the mystery or the magic of it. So how do you, in your mind, when your mind starts saying, "This is silly," how do you talk yourself out of that and keep going with the character?
I think that again goes back to all the years and years of practicing myself in a mirror with the different characters and trying different things, different songs and monologues and all kinds of different stuff. It really comes down to nailing the kind of character you want and really practicing to get that character fully developed before you do anything with it.
Huh. So you're not just talking about experience doing TV shows and writing and things like that, but the actual confidence that comes along with years of experience of sticking with the character and staying in place and committing to it and, and finding out that you're good at it. And people respond to it when you're in the moment and when you're entertaining, right? It's amazing. So tell me about, what's your favorite group to entertain for? Favorite age group?
Yeah. Really, there's no specific age group, but my favorite kind of group is, I guess, the group that before they see it or before they watch it, they're not really interested in it, or they don't really believe that they're going to be entertained by puppets. And usually it's adults that are like that. They say, they have the mindset that puppets are for children and that, they're not going to enjoy it. But then after they see either the TV show or a live show, they're like, wow, that was actually, really entertaining and I didn't expect it. So I really like those kind of crowds that
you can turn around.
Yeah, exactly.
That is something that I know seasoned performers would be like, yeah, that's it. Because that comes with a lot of experience. And not being afraid in a room where people, need to be turned or they're not quite paying attention or they're not body, and that's a big deal. That's a really massive performer's trick there that you've mastered, and he really is fantastic. I can't stress this enough. I'm going to get in the shot here. I can't stress it enough. It is magical to see. You can see Jake going behind the curtain at a show, and it's him. Like, I don't know. Was it too much? I love it. I absolutely love it. I find it absolutely fascinating. And of course, I grew up with Fraggle Rock. I still feel like there's people out there with those personalities. Like, oh, she's such a mokey. Oh my God, he's such a gobo. And they're not. They're puppets. And it's devastating when you find out, like Buddy the Puffin. You find out that Buddy the Puffin is a person in a suit, and you become so attached to the character that they become real. Like any book that you read, any fiction book, where you wonder what happened to, the kid with the sleigh. What was the book? The little red. What's the book I'm talking about? It's one of those classic books, or the Rosebud.
Citizen Kane? Was that a book?
I didn't read. I'm kidding. I didn't read Citizen Kane. I've just heard. See, this is what I mean. The little sled becomes a character. So these are the sorts of things that I can't. It's just so fascinating to me how important it is to come back to. I'm 45 years old, and I'm just learning now how important it is to come back and have fun. The mental health component of having fun and finding stuff that gets you out of bed, that makes you laugh, that you look forward to. I was so excited about this show today, I can't even tell you. I'm excited, and it's happening right now.
Sure.
And I went down to look at Paula, and I swear the puppet looked at me and went, finally, I've been sitting on this freaking post for this long, and you've left me down in the basement for this long, and you're finally going to give me some airtime. Because she had stuff to say. Look at her glasses all askew.
So you mentioned doing shows, Jake doing shows for people. We should probably talk about all the different kinds of shows and performances and opportunities that Jake has out in the community.
Yes, absolutely, Jake. Tell me what's
So every live show that I do is always different. Normally the types of live shows that I like to do is I like to have the puppets themselves up on stage when you can't see me, of course, and usually it's around 20 minutes. I don't usually like to go over the 20-minute mark for my live shows because that's when you start to lose people and they start to become uninterested.
Just like a TV show.
Exactly. But that's not where it ends. After the 20-25 minutes, that's when I like to come out in the audience with the puppets and let them see them, let them try out a few puppets and just get the up-close interactions between the puppets and the crowd. And but like I said, every live show is different. I always write the shows and pick the songs and the stuff specifically for whatever audience I'm performing for.
He's been writing his
So
own
what kind
shows.
of what kind of shows?
He writes his own shows. Did you
Did you do like birthday parties and
Yeah.
like corporate stuff? Like do you do stuff for like companies that bring you in? Or?
Yeah, I've done a few corporate things like parties they've had, like family Christmas parties and stuff.
That's
and
awesome.
I've done I've been going out to Placentia every year for the past couple of years, doing a show for one of their summer festivals, and that's always fun.
Well, I just had a weird thought. I mean, you mind if I?
No,
you
weird.
mind if
There's
I ask a
nothing.
question?
Everything's
So-
off the rails here.
I had a friend in high school that was the mascot for the high school, right? That wore the big suit and and it was like it seemed similar to this, where like he put the suit on, and you knew Chris Abbott, right? That
Yep.
did the Buddy the Puppet.
Yes, yeah.
And like you put the suit on, and you're like a character, right? You're not yourself anymore. You get to
Yeah.
they don't
Oh
really
my
do
God.
voices, but they dance and they
Yeah.
act crazy and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
have you ever done anything or wanted or like considered like?
A full body puppet.
I mean, it seems very similar, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just your hand on the
It
puppet,
is.
but like you have this whole other character on your body that you're doing.
Mhm.
That's right. Like I just didn't. It just hit me when you lifted
Yeah.
up Blue that time. It's like, I don't.
It's a chance to live through somebody else.
Yeah. Do schools have mascots here in Newfoundland? Like, is it a? I'm from North Carolina, so
I
it's a
don't know
little
about
bit different.
schools, but I do know that Buddy the Puffin, of course, you mentioned Chris Abbott. Chris was such a lovely person, and I also loved Buddy the Puffin.
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
when Chris passed away, it was like I lost a friend. I lost two in that same.
It's like a whole other person.
It was like this other personality because when you're at the hockey games and like he really when he put that head on, and sometimes I remember the first time I saw Buddy the Puffin with his head in his hands, he yelled out, and of course Buddy didn't talk, so I heard a voice behind me saying "Hold the elevator," and I turned around. I was so devastated that it wasn't that he had his head in his arm, and I was like, oh, I was shocked. I felt like a child with that. It broke my heart. Anyway, the personalities really, that element of having fun, it's just so important for a well-rounded life to have fun, just to have fun and give into those, like to let your child play, like just to let kids play. And
Inner
everybody has a child. There's always, and I've seen it at your shows too, Jake, where I've seen the adults around me and I'm sitting there going, you don't even know, you're gonna, like, I see you looking all stern there, but they're the ones that when they start to play.
Open up.
When they started, their foot starts tapping to the music and they start playing along, and it's like, well, we saw the kid going back there. We know, no, they really buy in. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, it's like going to any concert. When you buy in and you actually allow yourself to have fun, it's a whole different experience. It really is.
Now, I don't want to ruin the interview,
All right.
but I just want to say that we got 7.5 minutes left, and you mentioned the idea of playing one of your songs.
So I need to put Paula's boot back on because God forbid she have a cold foot. But I'm gonna live out one of my little fantasies here now because I have always wanted to see Paula done professionally, so I could actually have like an interaction with her. So Jake, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but would you mind operating Paula while I play one of our Mulberry Creek songs?
Yes,
Would
I'd
that
love
be
to.
okay? This is so fun. Okay, Paula, here we go.
Again, if you're listening on the radio, we are on live on Facebook at the Mulberry Creek Hour. So you might want to
Adjust your TV sets.
open up Facebook and have a look at this. Vicky's gonna get her guitar out here
Yes, absolutely.
again for those that are
Okay.
listening in.
Oh my God, Paula's real. Do you see it? Oh my gosh. This is like an out-of-body experience. She's moving. Look at her. She's looking at me. This is amazing. Paula, your glasses are askew. Hold on now. There you go. Oh my God.
Get yourself together.
She
Paula.
just reacted when I touched her face. Did you see that? This is like the best thing I have ever done on radio. And I just forgot that I'm on radio. Hold on. Where's my gopher? So Paula came into my life when I was doing one of the shows for Bell 5. And it never got on the air. It's a whole other story. I wrote a book about it. It's coming out in the fall. But this is the song that I wrote for the show we made that never made it to air, that it will eventually make it out to air. So this is called Loser Anthem. There is a part where Paula can sing along on the, would you call it a chorus? There's some woes that she might be able to sing along with. And Jake is so good at doing this stuff. Jake, thank you so much for doing this. Okay, this is called Loser Anthem. It's off our new EP. And we wrote it for a TV show, but it ended up on an EP, so that's just as good.
And we'll have some time after the song to come back and say goodbye to Jake and everything.
There's a video also on our YouTube channel, on the Mulberry Creek YouTube channel that we made with Jake Delaney, our other buddy Jake. And so this is called Loser Anthem. Paula, if you wouldn't mind singing along, I'd appreciate it. This is one for all of those that told me no, for all of those fools that said I shouldn't say so, telling me to slow down when I just wanna go. Whoa, 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 whoa. If you don't get a tingle up the back of your spine, no regret in the morning, did you even have a time? You all want a story, well I'm still writing mine. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm getting older, but I don't have to age. Tell my mother I'm still going through a phase, earning every wrinkle upon this happy face. Whoa, 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 whoa. While it's still beating, listen to your heart, 'cause each fall down's another chance to start. Each fall down's another chance to start. Sneaking backstage just to get an autograph. Maybe if you start a band, you get the last laugh. Hard to hold a candle when you're running in the rain. Whoa, 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 whoa. This is one for all of those that told me no, for all of those fools that said I shouldn't say so, telling me to slow down when I just wanna go. Whoa, 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 whoa. How much fun was that? Oh my god. Jake, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Oh my god. So tell me, what kind of a voice you can... Look at her. Oh my god.
Oh, just hanging out there.
Paula's just hanging out. That was so much fun. Oh my gosh. I have way too much fun in here, seriously. What was I going to ask you? Hold on, I had a question.
Voice.
How would you come up with a voice for her?
Yeah, so when you're coming up with a voice or character for a puppet, I always think there's two different ways that I come up with them anyways. So the first one is that you think of someone in your life, someone that you've heard. I mean, a story that I like to use is Oscar the Grouch on Sesame Street. Carol Spinney, his puppeteer, when he was on the way to do his first scene as Oscar, he didn't have a voice, he didn't have a character, but then he heard his cab driver on the way to the studio.
No way.
And that's where Oscar the Grouch's voice was first from. And so there's always that aspect of it. You can use someone that you've heard in your life and anything like that. And then there's just the other way of just playing around with it yourself and trying out all different voices and working on it that way.
So I guess much like changing out your right hand for your left hand and stuff like that, like maybe you just take a breath in between when you start to, when you're getting in your head and like, this is what did I think? Because even when I'm doing shows, I look at my guitar sometimes and I go, why did I pick the guitar? This instrument is so ugly. I hate the sound of it. Listen to the strings. Oh my God. So it really is, I think, a creative thing where people get in their heads a little bit. And you are such an inspiration. I'm so glad to have the opportunity to sit down with you and play with the puppets and have a good time. And I think there should be an episode of the show where the puppets just completely take over the studio. I think that'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
And this was so great, Jake. Anything coming up on the horizon for you that you want to let people know about before we go?
Yeah, just check out NL Now, Saturday mornings at 10:30 a.m. on NTV.
Fantastic. So NTV, how long have you been on NTV?
4 seasons.
This is
We're
4
working on
seasons.
our 4th now.
That is absolutely
Awesome.
amazing. That is such a massive accomplishment. You're not even out of high school yet. It's just incredible, and we're just so lucky and honored that you live here in Newfoundland and that this stuff is able to be produced here in Newfoundland. And I hope all the tourists that are coming in this year get to see Jake Thompson while they're here and watch the shows, of course, when you're in your hotel or when you're in your little Airbnbs. Saturday morning when you're up listening, making your little traditional dinners and breakfast and all that stuff. Like, turn on the show. It is really, really great for kids, and it's good for the kids at heart. It really is magical. I say that as a 45-year-old. I can't speak for anyone beyond 45, but I'm guessing this is something that keeps on giving because puppets are magic. They really are so amazing. We still don't have a name for Josh's puppet. Do you have a suggestion?
I'm not sure. I think that's something I'd like to leave up to Josh to figure out.
I'll meditate on it.
Work on it myself.
That's absolutely awesome. Jake, thanks so much for being here. This is the Mulberry Creek Hour. I'm Vicki Morgan. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for tuning in on the Facebook page. Of course, you can go back and see the video and see all the stuff that happened on our Facebook Live. And check out NL Now. And of course, there's a YouTube channel, NL Now Productions, where you can see all the older episodes of NL Now. And there's always brand new episodes coming up on NTV. And the Mulberry Creek crew is going to be on there in the next few weeks as well. So we're going to be, it's just really, really fun time to be here in the province. And we're so happy to be waking up from hibernation and back to spring weather. And so everybody stay safe out there. Thanks again for listening. This has been the Mulberry Creek Hour.
We're up.
That's great.